would know, because I can honestly say that I'm literally never going to have the opportunity to see this from outer space. But just for the sake of argument, it's very bright, and around here in the woods, by the swamp, on a night ride, these right here will light up a rock-solid path. So you don't run into a wild pig or a coyote or any of the other nocturnal animals that are around here. They've got to eat too, so they hunt at night.
Welcome back to Katy, Texas. It's your boy X coming at you from XPROD. Good times are afoot. Let's rebuild a 2000 F-150. I'm going to bedline these emblems because the alternative to that would be ugly emblems. So we're not going to do that. Also, the front part of my rearview mirrors have progressively gotten more and more scratched up, regardless of how often I paint them, from bugs and rocks and whatever the case is. So I just bedline those also. And of course, my hood takes the bulk of the beating, so I decided to sand it down, prime it with some etching primer, fill in the gaps with this Bondo. That works very well. And what I'm going to do is sand the Bondo and then shoot it accordingly with some good old rattle cans. And we'll get to that here in just a bit. Also, the tailgate, front end and the back end, I did the same thing. I'm removing the emblems here, and I'm going to paint them like I did the other ones. Oh yeah. Bam. Little Rationale etching primer. Never hurt anybody. All right. I probably put it on a little bit too thick. That's really not necessary. I shot it as if it were paint, and it's not. So to put a base coat of primer, it doesn't have to actually be even. It doesn't have to be perfect, because I ended up having to sand it more than I wanted to. But seeing that it was a little bit rough, I got to sand it, and the more practice sanding something, the better I get at it. And this is not the last project. So here I am. That's the neighbor cam right there, or at least my impression of the neighbor cam. Good old Moose. Me and her is good buds and friends. Okay, right here, that is the Bondo that I'm sanding down on the tailgate. I'm gonna get it nice and smoothed out. Then I'm gonna shoot it with a black lacquer, as closely matched black lacquer as I could find. And this was just, honestly, I was just guessing. This is before I went to the color match. Now, I didn't start with the color match, and this is why. Because some years back, I had to replace one of my doors because I backed into a trash can and it folded it completely open. I backed into it with my door open. Long story, funny story. That maybe I'll tell you guys about that in another video. So I replaced it, and when it was replaced, the color codes were on the inside of the door, as they are on just about every vehicle. Those stickers with that information weren't on there, which I'm not complaining. I can figure it out. I can look it up. But I didn't have it handy, and I only had so much time, so I masked it as best that I could. And I came really close. When it's dirty, it looks exactly the same. When it's nice and clean and buffed out, there's a slight difference depending on the weather. It's noticeable, but most of the time it's not. So this was right after I painted it, the tailgate, for the first time, and I was just touching up some spots that I wasn't satisfied with after I wet sanded it. This was after my base coat, after the primer, the base coat, and the lacquer coat of clear I wet sanded it a little bit too aggressively, and I ended up cutting through the clear coat and exposing, and the base coat and exposing the primer. So I just touched it up. And now I'm going to shoot it again. I'm going to shoot it again with some more clear. Here I'm just touching it up. When you see a spot, shoot it. Whatever part was exposed, I just went over it again with the same rattle can. That's with the same rattle can. That's actually not, that's duplicolor. That's duplicolor, but it is a black lacquer, and it does look black. So, at least I'm in the ballpark, right? Again, this was before I bought the color match, and eventually I did. And I'm surprised at how well it worked out without using color match, just using my eye. That's right. Built Ford tough, baby. Over 300,000 miles, and it still runs like it's new. Although I wouldn't know that because I didn't buy it when it was new. But when I did buy it, it was running well. Turned the wrench once or twice. Maybe more than that. Little stuff, changed the spark plugs, changed the compressor. This and that. And I've seen everybody else around me get vehicle after vehicle and have problems with their new ones. It's not uncommon for a vehicle to have problems. But instead of having it fixed, they get something new. Well, if that makes you happy to do that, and if you find that most practical, I don't disagree with you. I don't. In fact, I agree with you. But I love the challenge, and I love being able to fix the problems, especially with my own vehicle, because like with anything, you just get to know it better. If there's a problem, sometimes it's reoccurring. I'm on my 4th starter since I've had this truck. These trucks are notorious for having the starter go out, but it's an easy fix. It's easily changed. I've changed on the first 3, and I had someone else change the 4th one only because I was on a time crunch. I had to be somewhere, and he was already out working on another vehicle, and I thought, well, since he's available, got it done. He fixed it up, and I got on down the road, and I made the money to pay for it, so it worked out. But other than that, it's been a pleasure. This truck has brought me years of good service, and this is my 2nd time to paint the hood. The front left quarter panel was painted, the left door was painted. I painted the tailgate for the first time, did my own Bondo work on the hood and on the tailgate, as well as the roof. But I sprayed Bedliner on the roof because it takes so much abuse anyways. It scratches up. It gets scratched. It's the first thing that gets scratched up on, at least on this vehicle or any vehicle that I've seen. To the hood and the roof. It takes the most scratches and damage from hail, from rocks, dirt, whatever the case is. So why not Bedliner? Why not? Who makes the rules? You know who makes the rules with this truck? I'm gonna clear my throat before I say this. Take a deep breath. I do. I do. Not part of the social hierarchy when it comes to styles of trucks or styles of anything, really. I do exactly what it is that I do. I love it, and it shows. And they say that imitation is the best form of flattery. Well, I'm flattered in hell. That didn't sound right. I sing out of tune sometimes. Most of the time I don't. I won't go into that, though. All right, peace. I'll check out in a bit. Bye. Okay, here is the next coat of clear. I believe that's clear. Am I shooting clear or am I shooting black? That's clear. Yeah, that is clear lacquer that I'm shooting over my 2nd or 3rd coat of base coat, probably third. Yeah, that's the clear that I'm shooting over what I had just wet sanded and touched up. So I decided, instead of reshooting it with some more base coat, that I was going to just touch up those spots and then re-clear it. And so far at this point, it came out just fine. Oh yeah, baby. That's my name, don't wear it out. Okay, hitting those emblems. After I mask these off, I'm going to hit them with Bedliner, just for consistency's sake, so that it flows from the front to the back with whatever I decide to detail, or whatever I decide to detail with Bedliner paint. Makes it pop, right? Makes it look tough. Makes it look like a hairy-chested man truck. All right. Let's pop the hood so that I don't get overspray on them. Now, I didn't want to mask everything else off. I'm going to detail the truck anyways when I'm done. I'm going to wet sand and clay bar the rest of the truck. So if I get a little bit of overspray on it, it's going to be all right, because between clay bar, wet sanding, and buffing and waxing, it's going to take it all off. So that right there's my Bedliner paint, and it works really well. Made by Rust-Oleum. It is a fast and easy alternative to rolling it on. Works really well. Now, I've had this, speaking of Bedliner, in the back for a while, in between the heat, the local Houston weather going from hot to cold, really cold lately, and it's always wet here in Katy. Where I normally ride, it's literally a swamp, and that's when it's dry. So it's very humid. Again, not complaining. I love where I'm at, love where I'm from, and I enjoy it very much. But because of that, my Bedliner, responding to the heat, to the cold, to the wet, back to dry, started to warp in certain areas. I'm just heating up the base of it, and I'm heating up the base of it with my heat gun and putting a center block on top of 2x4 so that it will straighten out somewhat. I could put more time and effort into it to make it perfect, but I think it looks just fine like that. All right. Last clear coat, brethren, on the tailgate. Looking good. Yeah, baby. All right, time to peel away the masking. This is how we do it. Oh God, here I go again. Don't hit me with a daggum copyright, YouTube. I'm singing just because I enjoy it. Whoever wrote that song, thank you, by the way. There's your credit. All right, I'll write the next one, by God, since that's what we're doing now. All right, got the razor blade out. Getting the masking off, or the tape off of that, is much easier when you use the corner of a razor blade. It just expedites the job if you do it right. Use your tools, use the corresponding tools for the corresponding job, and it makes it much easier, and you do a better job. Okay, hitting my rear view mirrors, at least the front of them. That's always full of bugs, and not impossible, but has been very difficult to clean, even buff out bug guts and whatnot off of there. So I decided just to Bedline. Besides, what's the first thing that goes through a bug's mind when it hits your rear view mirror? His ass. All right. So now I'm working on the hood, and I'm going to get it nice and as even as possible. Now, the type of strokes that I'm using compensates for the lack of fan spray that most rattle cans have. Now, they've got Rust-Oleum Turbo that has an immaculate fan spray on it, but the quality of the paint that comes in that particular can, what I've seen so far, is not exactly what I was looking for. Gloss lacquer, and at least that's not what I found. You guys correct me in the comments, and if you do know where I can get that, let me know, and I'll shoot my next vehicle or bike probably. I don't really understand the point of shooting a bicycle with Rust-Oleum Turbo, because it takes the fun out of the anticipation of getting done with it. You can finish it in like 6 or 8 seconds, and then what? Wait for it to dry. Check this out, guys. I'm really proud of this particular apparatus. Use your tools, as a good friend of mine always says, whatever your tools may be, especially if you're a multifaceted, multi-genre type of person that I am. That I like to indulge in very, very many things to keep myself busy. So that's a Shure mic stand with, that's an Ultimate mic stand with a Shure mic clip and a sprinkler. A round base sprinkler, and yeah, that is my wet sand shower. It's called a wet sand shower. You're welcome. It works really, really well. It really does. It keeps the water flowing. When you're wet sanding and you're using the same wet sand sponge over and over again, let's say you're using a bucket and you're putting the sponge back into the bucket and on whatever it is that you're wet sanding, hood or tailgate, you're bringing dirt back to it. With the wet sand shower, it clears it, so it keeps it clean. So when you're done wet sanding, you only have very little to clean afterwards. Here I just use one of my other tools. I used a blower to get all the water off. I didn't have to wipe it with anything, and boom. All right, time to start waxing this bad boy, or pardon me, time to start polishing it. Meguiar's, and a decent cutting pad. I don't use the standard cutting pad that you would see most people use. I use whatever I can attach to my drill. It works for me. It always has. For the most part, I use it on the bikes, and it does very, very well. Now, the bicycles are going to have a smaller surface if I'm polishing my head tube or my lower bottom bracket, my down tube, the chainstay, whatever it may be. It's a small surface, but it does work just fine on a big surface like my hood, for instance. So I decided to put it in my son's hands to test that theory, and he's doing just fine. When I was very young, I watched my dad golf with a very low-end set of golf clubs, and his recommendation to me was, if you can get good with a set of golf clubs like these, imagine what you could do once you work your way up to a professional set of golf clubs. And you can apply that same theory to everything. So he did a couple passes, I finished it. Teamwork, family time is always best. I'll take just about any excuse to spend time with my kids, and if I have to bring them in the shop and put some tools in their hand, then I'm going to do it. All right, all polished up. Time to put it back on the truck. And here is my end result. Oh yeah, what you know about that, baby boy? Same thing with the tailgate. That's rattle cans, baby boy. I'm telling you, It does work. Now, here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to check back with you on about a year and a half, and if it looks just like that, if not better, because by that time, obviously, it'll have cured, and I can really cut into it with some polish and with polish and compound, then go back over and wax it. It'll be pristine by that time. But this is fairly new paint with a quick polish job and very light spray wax, because I didn't want to use real wax if it hasn't quite cured yet. And it's going to take every bit, in my personal opinion and experience, every bit of 90 days to do that if you're using rattle cans. It's not professional grade paint. It's not. It comes out of a can. So it's going to take longer to cure. It's going to take longer to do it just right. But it's more about the experience. Okay, my doors, I had severe oxidation on the top of these doors to where it started to expose the primer underneath. So, wet sanded it down, got it all smoothed out, and finally found the paint codes and got me some color match. And as you can see, this is automotive grade paint made specifically for your vehicle. So it's just going to come out better. It's going to work faster. It's going to dry faster. It's going to last longer because it's for that specific purpose. So this part of this gig was much easier, and I did enjoy working my way up to it because it took me quite a few times with the Rust-Oleum and the Duplicolor cans to get it as close to just right as I could. Not so much with the perfect match. It actually went on really easy, dried fast. I timed each coat with my timer for 10 minutes, and every 10 minutes I'd shoot another one on there, just like clockwork, literally clockwork. So now, after I shot it with some lacquer, let it dry for a good solid 2 days. I came back with my cutting pad, my drill, my Meguiar's. I'm gonna polish this bad boy up, right? Bam, that's where it's at. Listen, again, in my opinion, Meguiar's, that's just where it's at. You know, you can do the same job or similar with lesser products, but in certain areas you just can't cut any corners. When it comes to polishing and waxing, just use the best. Meguiar's is where it's at. Now, this is not a commercial. I don't have any kind of endorsement situation with Meguiar's. I don't, but I just want to let you guys know that's what I use. It works really well for me. I enjoy using it because the end result is always something that looks professional to me. Microfiber towel, never hurt anybody. No streaks, no scratches, no swirl marks. And I only shot halfway down. I shot halfway down the door, just to the base of the window, and look how well it blends. And I even shot the clear coat halfway down. I was going to paint just the top of the door, just those spots, and then clear coat all the way down to the bottom of the door, and then buff it. But I decided to try something different just to see if it would work, because I can always do that. I mean, it's my truck. I can do whatever time allows, and it makes it fun because it's the learning experience. It's the whole process of it. So there you go. There's my doors all set up, but you can't really see through these safety goggles, and they look like they need some TLC also. So while I'm at it, I may as well make them nice too. You can't see what you're working on, you can't fix what you're working on. All right, thanks for hanging with me, guys. Hope y'all enjoyed that. That was part one of the partial restoration of this 2000 F-150. I love this truck. I've had it for a while, and I'm gonna have it for a while. 300,000 miles later, it's still going strong. Bill Ford tough, baby. It's your boy X. See y'all next time.